Final countdown.
Final countdown.
Your thoughts from start to finish.
Start to finish on the whole movie. It was made. Was it made in 1979 or set in 1979? Do you know?
It was made in the 80s.
So it was just set in
1980.
1979.
It's produced in 1980 or whatever.
Okay, so Final Countdown, produced in 1980, starts off pretty well. It's got a good cast. We had Martin Sheen in there. Looked like Charlton Heston was maybe the captain of the ship. And some other familiar faces. Started off well. Had some good production value. They go through time, through the wormhole. Go back in time. They stop Chapman from being assassinated by the Japanese. And then it's all building. There was some questionable acting by some of the shipmates that we were laughing at. But it's all building towards them stopping Pearl Harbor from happening. And then it doesn't happen. They just go back in time. And do you think they go back to their time and they just abort the mission? So it's like building towards this huge action climax that never happens. And what do you think, like, the message is then? Is it just supposed to be like, is it supposed to be that they're just like cowards and they backed out of their mission, or is it supposed to be like they didn't interfere with history and that was the right thing to do?
No, the thing is, though, it was a huge waste of money because they tried covering it up with all these philosophical questions,
Mm-hmm.
like Martin Sheen's character bringing up the grandfather paradox. If you go back in time and kill your grandfather before he has kids, then
like,
how can you exist? Blah blah blah. And
what is he even saying with that though? Because his argument is they should stop Pearl Harbor. So what is his argument?
That's just it. He
kind of
doesn't
like
have one.
Yeah, it's like an argument against stopping Pearl Harbor almost.
He's acting like a dick, and at the end of the movie, there, the captain and he are shaking hands like friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no reason for it.
They're all bros. It's funny that they're all friends that bonded through this experience of essentially doing nothing.
They do it. There was no bonding. There's nothing.
Yeah, but yet they act like there was. It doesn't make sense.
There's a huge plot hole, and they're like, oh, it was like they ran out of movie. This movie should have been like, what was it? It's 102 minutes long, so it's an hour and a half. It should have been like 2 hours, maybe 2.5, which would have been long for a movie back in the 80s, but still.
I wonder.
It's like they ran out of movie when they're like, oh shit.
Let's just end it.
We don't have the climax here, so we'll just cobble together this ending, which...
I think they just really didn't think it through. That they were like, yeah, and then maybe they stopped Pearl Harbor and they probably had an ending where they did stop it, and then they couldn't really make sense of, like, then what? Like, then does the world just change? Or they were just like,
that
let's
would have
just
been better. They could have came back to their own time and everything has changed. They could have gotten a radio message and then they just kind of looked on and was like, oh shit, things are worse now or better now or like not as we expected or whatever. But no, they went back in. No, the reason the ship went back in time was to drop off that one guy that got stuck in the past.
Mm-hmm.
If he was somehow held or sent out, kidnapped or whatever, sent out in a dinghy in the water, he would have gotten pulled into the past, and then all this other shit that happened wouldn't matter because.
So what was the point of that guy, though? I'll get a second angle with this.
Well,
if I can turn it on. Like, he became like a rich, successful man because he was left in the past.
I think on some sites I looked at, he was the guy who was like had a hand in creating the carrier, but I can't remember.
And do you think it was this way all along? Like, did they talk about that guy? Like,
no.
Oh, so and so, and then
no, that's it. It's like this guy in a limo shows up, and to see Martin Sheen's character go off on the carrier there, and nothing else is explained. It's like this guy in the limo knows him, but that's it.
How do you think he knew exactly when that aircraft carrier was going to arrive in time? Like, how would he know the exact moment? Like, they literally docked, and then he pulled up. How would he know?
He was probably just a rich guy and had an office in town or whatever.
And they were like, the ship's back, and he just booked it. Right. Get down there. That's the ship I've waited 40 years for. What attracted you to this movie? What made you want to review this movie out of the many probably worse movies from this time period? What attracts you to the Final Countdown?
There's like other time travel movies. You probably seen a lot of crappy time travel movies, but they did stuff with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did something with the time travel element. They didn't just go back in time and sat around for a bit then come back. No, like they screwed up something. And, like sure it was probably a crappy budget movie there, so they only had like enough money to do a scene or like a set with like debris or some dirty looking guy under a cardboard box, but
yeah,
at least they tried to show it, and they had like pictures or whatever of like backdrop pictures, so it wasn't any actual scenery. I mean, like they painted something up or did some CG work or whatever.
You know who did time travel better is Terminator. And that came out 4 years later. And they did it right.
Yeah, kind of, but yeah. They did it better.
They did better.
They did it better than this movie. Like, sure, there's a lot of like softcore military porn there. Like you got, if this movie, if you want to see what goes on in an aircraft carrier, but you don't want to watch a documentary and hear the narrator go blah blah blah.
Just watch Final Countdown.
Yeah.
If you want to see some cool jets, Final Countdown. If you want to see Martin Sheen ripping around a boat.
And that he was like an analyst there, or whatever. His job was, and he said this in the movie, as an analyst there, he looks at stuff and then he comes up with a better way of doing things. That he spilled it out.
Yep.
And he didn't even do that.
No, I didn't even understand what he was supposed to be or why he was on the ship exactly, because of the fact that he did nothing other than like be the hero of the movie that has no heroics.
No heroes. There's no heroes. There's no villains. There was the only character maybe was the captain.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know what to do with anything.
No.
I mean, at the end of the movie there, he was like, he stuck to his guns there. He wasn't going to go out and attack the Japanese fleet before it attacked Pearl Harbor, but he knew that exactly where all the Japanese fleet was going to be. So, if this is his line of thinking, if they did actually end up, because I guess he was thinking that like time can be rewritten, and technically that's right the way they went about this, but
yes.
Like the captain there, he was like, okay, well, there's no way I can actually do like a preemptive strike against these, because that's not the official American way.
No.
Like they've always been like a responding military force. So I can understand that. I can agree with that. But thing is, though, the movie didn't let that happen. We didn't see the results. We didn't like. They could have just like threw in a little thing there where the Japanese fleet was larger than what was originally happened.
Yeah.
like according to actual recorded history. Like,
And it would be like in
like
response to
like
seeing
4
their
times
super
larger,
planes.
and then it was the intervention of the aircraft carrier, the nuclear aircraft carrier, wiping out this certain percentage to bring it back down.
Like they would have blown up America had they not intervened.
Well, maybe not blown up America, but definitely changed the course of the Pacific War.
Yeah. Yeah, they missed an opportunity.
It's so much.
So they would have made a dent in the Japanese army and then made history as it was. So they really didn't change anything. They were just always a part of history. This is a way better movie.
It is, and if this movie ever gets remade, like in it, if they do actually follow through, I mean, if you want to keep all the stuff leading up to it, fine. I mean, it'll be a little dull compared to today's standards. I mean, like, you know,
American Sniper.
like you and Connor were just going on about random crap.
Yeah.
You weren't even watching the movie like 10 minutes in.
We got the gist.
And you got excited at the end there. When,
I was pumped for the
all
fight.
all the jets were launching off and going off, and
Yeah.
they're going to strike, and then
Nothing.
nothing.
Abort. Yeah. Definitely it's like pretty boring and then it gets you into it, and then once you're into it, it lets you down.
And even then, it's like the squadron leader is like, okay, guys, mission scrubbed, let's all go home. Everyone's like, oh, okay. No, I can guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you, but I can, even in a movie sense, like there will be at least one pilot who's going to go, fuck this, I'm going to go and take out a couple ships.
Yeah, and it kind of seemed like for 1 second he was like, abort, and then they're like, yeah, abort. Okay. He had one pause, and that was it.
Yeah, the pilot's question's like, oh, shucks, we're going to let him do it again. Back to the carrier.
And then it's like the moment of suspense they try to inject is, oh, we can't find the planes, sir. The planes are nowhere around. Oh, we lost the planes. This is crazy. They made it.
Yeah, they all made it.
They made it. Don't worry. The end.
Like, and the other thing there is like at the end there where like a Navy limo comes up, or was it a limo? No, it was
Just a black limo.
a black limo with a bunch of Navy officers coming out of it. Like it's like a clown car.
Yeah.
Where they'll come out, and this could have been the thing there. I mean, like they lost a helicopter because the guy they rescued blew it up with a flare gun. One of the F-14s fired a missile, which probably cost more than the Japanese Zero they shot down. When it could have just threw a few slugs. And there was
And they
like
lost like 5 men.
there was like no, it was over a dozen, over a dozen guys. Like 4, maybe 5 guys were killed. One was injured that we saw, killed by the Japanese pilot they rescued, and it's like 4 more died in the helicopter that blew up, not counting the senator guy from.
Since he was supposed to die anyway. So what was the reason that they couldn't just warn Pearl Harbor? Like their radio didn't work, or what?
Well, the radios worked there, but
they just wanted to stop the fighters before Pearl Harbor would ever even know about it, I guess.
Well, the thing is, though, is that whoever wrote the movie there wasn't really sure what was going on now. There's one big circle, like, should we do something? We should do something. Should we? Shouldn't we? We shouldn't, but we should. So, there was a scene where they had a radio, they gave it to the senator guy, and he followed radios Pearl Harbor, and it's like, I'm on this carrier, and blah, blah, blah. And whoever was at the Pearl Harbor base pretty much just cut him off, calling him an idiot because he was on a ship that didn't exist in their time, and Which I can understand there, but you can also add it in the center going, now listen here, there's a bunch of Japanese ships coming in, they're going to attack, and you'd be like totally freak out, and that would be further justification of why you want to commandeer the helicopter there. I mean, you still want to warn Pearl Harbor. Yeah. Premise of the movie there, the final countdown it was interesting. I mean,
it's a good idea.
Like, yeah, it was a really good idea, but the follow through sucked.
Is this movie like famous for being bad, or have you just discovered it as being a bad movie yourself?
Well, when I first picked it up, I didn't know. I didn't know the awful horror.
You thought you were just buying a good movie?
Well, yeah, it's the final countdown on the back of the box is pretty much saying that the lays out the premise there, and it doesn't say. Well, what movie would tell you about the big letdown? Suffice to say, this. Well, another thing though, is this was a big budget movie.
Mm-hmm. Clearly.
Like, they had the money to actually have the F-14s fly around with some. They weren't the actual Japanese Zeros, but they're American planes painted up to look like them. But that actually happened. It wasn't a model mock-up thing. It was
real planes.
Real planes. I mean, they didn't.
Real aircraft.
Like, they probably used the models when they were blowing up the planes there, but the missiles are shooting them down. But like all the scenes there were actually was actually the actual Navy.
Waste of money.
It was a waste of money.
Where'd you pick that gem up?
Picked up at the local video store.
Movies on Main?
Yeah.
I can't believe they had that there. When did you get it?
Well, years ago. Special edition 2 and...
Blue Underground does good releases. Like, with usually lots of extras, I mean.
Yeah, there is a lot of extras here, but... You know, have all the extras in the world, but if the movie's not...
Doesn't make the movie good.
Like, okay, here's what I'm going to tell you right now. This movie is not... I spent way too much money for this movie, considering what goes on, what happened, or what didn't happen, I should say. I didn't get the follow through on the premise there. The stuff that went on, well, informative about the Navy procedures, wasn't well, it was boring to the common person. And I mean, I kind of found it interesting, but for the move, like the time travel movie, any time travel movie, there's like certain action where like you need to get this shit done, or else things will go down.
But nope.
No.
Not
this movie is so bad, I would not recommend it to anyone to pay anything.
Should hold it up.
Anything. Not for a DVD, not for a Blu-ray, if you come across one. And I definitely do not recommend you looking up on Netflix. It's on Netflix, but, and I know it's all free, but in the minor, very infinitesimal percentage that would be put towards this movie for paying your Netflix.
It's also just your time. I wasted my time.
You did.
But Blue Underground's a good label. What that means is this movie's like a cult classic. Like, there's a group of passionate people out there who love this movie for it to get a Blue Underground release. Yeah.
I've seen like a couple 5-minute reviews there, and they were all talking about like the military aspect. I mean, they thought it was cool that the F-14s were shooting down the planes, and they're all talking about the military procedures, but none of them
talk about the plot.
Really talked about the plot there or the time travel aspect, which was the central theme that didn't get the follow through. So don't buy the physical copy for no matter how cheap it is, even if it's like a penny. Don't buy it, and do not watch it on Netflix, because It does not deserve the satisfaction of
being played,
played. Yeah.
adding to their stats. What would you recommend? Would you recommend anything instead of Final Countdown? What's a better movie they should check out? I said The Terminator, which is also on Netflix, I think.
There's another movie I want to do. It's a VHS. I have a VHS, but I'm not sure if it'll still work. But
it's called a VCR.
Yeah, I do. Somewhere. That has very, 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 very minor and questionable time travel. A time travel aspect of it. It's very questionable whether it's there, but it's there. And that's still better than this movie.
And what is it?
It's called Laserhawk, and it's not a big. I think it had a big studio behind it, but it wasn't a big presentation there. It didn't get a lot of stuff. There's like a couple trailer. There's like a trailer on YouTube or something, but that's it. It's like, no, I don't think I've seen any video reviews of it.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's actually a good movie.
What's the one called where the guy goes back in time on a dirt bike? Like Time Rider or something? That one looks ridiculous.
I never heard about that one.
Check it out. I'm not sure if it's called Time Rider, but...
There was there was like an MST... 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
T3K movie called Time Chasers. That was better. I mean, it was a boring movie, but they got the time travel plot down and they followed through with it.
Yeah. So check all those out instead.
Yeah. Final Countdown. It sucks. The actors they had good, big star power in this movie. They did not add anything to their career whatsoever, except to say that I had another notch under the belt as far as doing movies is concerned.
Just another movie.
Just another movie, if that. I mean, a lot of these guys, they could have just phoned it in. Like, do a green screen thing in there, because that's how much of the substance came out of that. It was like a Navy propaganda thing.
And don't check it out, I guess. No. I was going to say, and check it out. Don't check it out. Don't check it out.
No.
Cool.